My name is Deepak Sharma, and I'm going to take a few seconds just to talk about me before I open up this pod. And trust me, this one with Soheil and Dan is an incredible one. I spent 6 years working for the federal government of Canada in the pensions department. As you can imagine, it was the most exciting gig of my life. I was the king of water cooler conversations, or taking as much time as possible to complete a task that honestly could have only taken 5 minutes. Give me something today, it'll be done in 3 weeks. That was my life, and I hated it. The entire time I was at this job, I kept thinking to myself, how can I do something that is bigger than this, that has more meaning, where I'm given tasks that I actually want to go out and complete? And after thinking of it for a long time and a few too many friends suggesting I do this, I started It's Not That Deep, this podcast. That was back in 2019. And since then, my life flipped on its head. I started my first media company. I grew that to low 6 figures. I met my business partner who actually came on this podcast. That's how we met for the first time. We had no idea that we would start a business together. But several months after that episode launched, we started Deep Social Brands in January of 2021. At the time of this recording in April 2025, DSB has done over $2.5 million in sales. It's moved me from Canada to one of my favorite places in the world, Miami, Florida. I've been able to live and grow in Colombia, traveled to places like Spain, Morocco, India, and even Dubai, where this podcast was recorded. And the reason I've been able to do all of this, because I decided to start making this show in the first place. Now, if you're on YouTube here, you'll probably see that I only have 745 subscribers. Yet my entire life has flipped on its head because I decided to put out content. Just simply posting videos has changed my life. It's changed Soheil and Dan's life. And every person that I know who is committed to hitting publish and done so for a consistent period of time has had their life get exponentially better in all domains, even if they aren't an influencer or have a massive following like me. That's why Jamie and I actually started another company, putoutcontent.com. At our agency, we would do everything: scripting, strategy, filming, editing, posting, managing, from as little as 1 video every other day to as much as 4 videos a day. It's just not sustainable for us to do that at scale. But what we've learned people struggle with the most is not finding a videographer, not finding an editor, not finding a social media manager to post the content. It's actually knowing what to do, what to make, which is why Put Out Content is a consulting company where we handle all of the ideas and strategy for your content. We script out word for word what you're gonna say, or if you're a fantastic communicator already, we give you blueprints. We take the hardest part of social media and make it simple for you at a fraction of the cost of our full service. So I'm not gonna plug any businesses on my show. You're not gonna see any ads, mid-rolls, or anything, but it's my show. I'm gonna plug myself. So if you wanna support, head out to putoutcontent.com and we could chat from there. But for now, let's enjoy Dan and Soheil. All right, welcome to the It's Not That Deep podcast. I'm here with my good friends, Soheil Var and Daniyal, Sheikh. These guys are some of my favorite people because they have one of the craziest stories out there. We're going to dive into it for sure, but they actually own a football club here in Dubai called Al Kabila FC. Boys, welcome to the It's Not That Deep podcast.
Deepak, great to be here. This is the first time we're meeting in person. Long overdue, so I'm pumped for this podcast.
Honestly, I'm excited to have this chat. I know we've been connected a while, and I'm excited to just actually meet in person and just have a strong chat.
100%. We got some Ottawa guys here who made it out of our interesting but not so interesting city, and we're in a little bit of a cooler city now. And you guys have a very, very interesting story of how you got here. One of the first things I kind of want to dive into, obviously origin story. We're gonna dive all into that, but the role and value that social media has played in your story today. Let's start there, and then we'll obviously dive into a lot more in the past, the future, everything on today's podcast. But social media, I mean, none of us are sitting here if we don't put out content. Talk to me about the importance of that for your respective journeys.
Yeah, I think social media has been massive. 2 main angles here. I mean, for myself, there was the journey to pro. So I also have the pro football player angle of documenting my journey. On day one, when I first started, it was all a dream of, can I sign that pro contract? And then documenting the experience with the world to see. that process over time, it built my network, built my connections, also got me to inspire more and more people. So the value out of that has been immense because it's gotten me into the next layer of opportunities. So it got me to go out to clubs and get opportunities. And then what we've done last year together with building the pro football club, honestly, this is something that has never been done before. No one's built a pro football club. And we knew when we started to do this in 1 year, crazy challenge.
Insane.
We couldn't have done it without the power of social media. And the reason I say that is because social media was a tool for us to be able to attract the right resources to make a project like this happen in only 1 year. So it's been valuable. And I know for Dan, you've got similar thoughts to that.
No, definitely. And for myself, I come from a background of media and marketing, and that's what I did for the last 10 years of my life. And first it was filmmaking, and first it was little big banners on walls, on buses, and that's what marketing was. And then Instagram came out, Facebook came out, and YouTube, and everything was getting a lot more social media focused. And suddenly marketing shifted towards that because now it's all about viewership. And so nowadays, in this current age, 2025, social media followers, views, and engagement is currency for everyone.
Yeah.
And if you have this engagement, you have status, you have access to lots of opportunity, and you have access to impact people.
Totally.
And a bigger scale, which is where this project also like lies.
Yeah.
Is that it's a big impact project as well. So I would say like social media has played a big role, and it's only gonna grow from here. It's only gonna develop, and it's gonna go to some crazy places, to be honest.
And I'll never forget. I mean, first of all, to that point, the big thing is it's like digital real estate, right? It's actually, planting your flag and saying, this is what I stand for, what I believe in, and I'm going to put that out to the world. And it costs nothing. We all have these supercomputers in our pocket that have cameras, and you guys have shown that, by actually putting out content, you're able to change your lives forever. And we're definitely going to dive into that. But I want to kind of go back a little bit to kind of the first time we connected, Soheil.
Yeah.
And I remember you had a bit of a following already on TikTok. I believe was like your main platform where you were crushing it. You had a decent following on Instagram as well. But yeah, your number one goal was to get signed by a pro club.
Yeah.
And I remember that era, and I was just thinking, my business partner Jamie, he was like, no, like this guy's like actually gonna do, like he's special. And I'm like, okay, like let's see. Like and I followed you and I checked out your account. And you did something that I don't know if this is factually true or not, but to me, it is 100% the truth. And I've told this to a million people. You actually don't know how many people I told this to, but I feel like you actually pioneered a style of social media content and strategy that has not been done before to the level you've done it. And that is not only just documenting your journey, throwing up some stories, some posts, whatever. Everyone at some level tries to do that, and that's fine. But you set out to make an audacious goal in a 1 year time span, and then you documented every single day of that year. And you've been doing that now well over 3 years, over 1,000 days of constantly documenting your journey. That hasn't been done before, man. And I'll never forget, I saw, that first year you didn't get signed. And I was actually following. I'm like, yo, let's see if he does it. That first year, it didn't happen. And I was like, what's he gonna do now? You set this crazy goal, this vision, and it didn't happen right away.
Yeah.
Then you pivot. I want to talk about like the headspace. How do you go about setting an audacious goal, not hitting it right away, and then we'll talk about what happened after that.
Yeah, so to get real with everybody, this has been something that everybody sees the 365 days to trying to sign a pro contract. Me, like a lot of other young boys, I had the dream to become a professional footballer and sign a pro contract when I was quite young. So I've been going at this journey for over 10 years now. So even middle school, entering high school, it was, I want to become a pro footballer. I want to go on that journey and see if I can make it happen. And there were 6, 7, 8 years of me traveling 2 hours, taking a flight, going to different countries, getting cut day in, day out, setbacks, rejections where it didn't happen. So then when 2021 hit, January 1st, something struck me from God, the universe, and it was, okay, Soheil, you've been going at this for so long. I went to Austria, I went to Germany, I was in Canada trying to make it happen. And I had some good moments, but a lot of failures and a lot of setbacks. And on that first day of 2021, I told myself, there's no going back if I document this, because it will create social accountability. Everybody will be tuning in for the next 365 days. I'm actually going to set a timeline on it. And I had two main goals when I first started out, because it was COVID. We were all stuck in our basements. We didn't have anything to do.
Yeah.
And I remember I didn't have any network, no connections. I had a groin injury and I had nothing. But I had two goals with it. One, I want to inspire everybody watching that if you continue to work hard, you believe, you continue to grow, you can make your dreams happen. But then two, I want to share the reality of the football journey, because football and other sports and any reality of life, anybody who goes on to achieve great things, you only get to see their highlights. They only post their highlights.
Yep.
With the journey, my goal was I want to share the downs as well, the setbacks, the failures, when things didn't go well. And then along the way, the goal was, can I inspire and educate and give people the resources and tools for them to have better careers? So that was all going through my mind on day one. It was January 1st, 2021. And then I started, it was like, okay, day one, day two, guys, I'm in Canada right now. I'm trying to make it happen. This is my plan. I'm going to email teams. I'm going to go here. I'm going to do that. I knew that 365 days, it creates suspense, you know? Can he do it in 365 days? It's like you have the title of the movie, and then people want to tune in to see if you can make it happen.
Totally.
So I remember first couple months, I was in Canada. I was emailing teams, making a video every single day, documenting the journey. Then in the summer, we had a crazy experience in Spain where I have to give a shout out to Daniyal as well for joining me on the journey. There was an opportunity to go to Spain, and we have to also share that story of where he was at, and you know that we're coming together, and then that leading to this journey that we're on now with the football club. But going to Spain, documenting Spain, all the ups and downs that we had, going to a football trial, they didn't know who I was. Taking the metro 1.5 hours to the next city for my last chance to have a trial, and he doesn't play me. The coach doesn't play me. Wow. Coming back home, getting jumped. We were in Airbnb. I remember I was running. Crazy stories were happening. But that whole first year was a lot of ups and downs. And by the end of the 365 days, it was a failure. I didn't achieve the pro football contract. And I decided not to give up. I decided to stay persistent, and I did season 2. So that took me to Dubai, and that's a whole nother story. But that was my thought process with documenting the journey. That's why I did it.
And you bring up such an important point there with documenting the ups and the downs.
Yeah.
Most people on social media, they're just showing the highlights, like you said. They want this to be a trophy case of all the good things that happen. But very few people are vulnerable enough to show, like, put their heart on their sleeve and be like, I might fail. And sometimes you do fail, but through that failure, there's a lot of success. Dan, I want to ask you as well, bro. So you and Soheil go way back. You guys have been, homies, friends for, way longer than you've been working together in the capacity you are today. Walk me back, to kind of the beginning a little bit. And did you always see this in your boy? Like, I want to know, like, your thoughts on that.
It is a crazy journey. Me and him, I think we go back 11.5 years now.
That's great.
Yeah, it's share this story of how we met. It's a whole story. It's crazy because I actually grew up in this country, in UAE, and spent the first 10, 11 years here.
Okay.
And at the age of 12, my whole family immigrated to Ottawa, Canada.
Okay.
And I was a complete fresh off the boat there. I'm going there. I have no idea how to speak English properly, and I get there and I live in Canada. So it happens to live in Canada, and I'm going to the school called A.Y. Jackson Secondary High School.
I know A.Y.
And I remember business class was the first class that I had. So I went and sat, and there was some sort of pop quiz happening on the spot for some reason from the teacher. And I remember at some point in the quiz, I looked to the guy to my right, and we started talking. We started asking about, what do you think about this question? What do you think about that question? That guy happened to be Soheil.
Okay.
And we met on the very, very first day of high school.
I love that.
And it's crazy because from that, it led to, on and off, hanging out during class, after class, and just talking throughout the next 4 years and becoming friends. And You know, it is a crazy journey because so much has happened.
Yeah.
At first, you know, first 4 years we were doing during school, we would like film little YouTube videos sometimes. Soheil was always like super passionate about football, and he would always say like, "Listen, I'm gonna make it pro one day." Even back then, he was like, "I want to make it to the top," like, and he had that ambition to him, and I always saw that like, and I was like, "Wow, I admire this passion about him." And he'd be posting videos and journeys and football reviews, like clip reviews and little videos here and there, just to like make a step up the ladder. And right after high school is when we actually started convening on doing a little bit of business together. So I was always interested in the media path of being a filmmaker, being a photographer, being an editor, and bringing a media set of skills. And that's what I studied in university as well.
Wow.
And Soheil was working with a sports agency, and he hit me up. He's like, "Dan, we should do some stuff together." And you know, that was our first ever like business job together. Where we were working for a sports agency. We weren't making much, but it was like for young guys just out of high school, we were just like, "Wow, we're doing something."
This is cool, and we get to work together as boys and actually be able to do the things we talked about when we were in high school together.
Absolutely. And for us, it was like, you tell me how it was.
Let me share something quickly.
Yeah,
That is good for the viewers. 'Cause today, we own a professional football club together. But the story he's bringing up, yeah, we worked for a sports agency and it sounds great, but how much money were we making a month?
Oh man,
I want to be real with the viewers.
I believe it was $50 on an average, and on a good amount, it was like 150.
We're making $50. We go to school. After school, we're like, this is it. This is, you know, we're going to work. We're working our way up. I remember the people at the company told us, like, next year you'll be on 60K a year. You know, they looked that, yeah. We were grinding, building up their social media, getting it to the next level. And then I remember we even went to Europe. We paid for a good chunk of the expenses ourselves, on the grind, sleeping on couches, sleeping on the floor.
And we're both 19 at this time, by the way.
Literally, yeah, just coming out of high school, grinding, trying to make the business life happen. And then even when that first venture didn't work out, we then set out to have our first social media agency, where our plan was to create content and social media work for clients. This is the early days, 2019. I remember we had this plan. We're like, yo, these guys treated us like this. We're going to come together now, multi-million dollar, because, you know, we printed business cards. The stack of business cards came.
Oh my God.
Then he had this plan. We're going to go to the city. Like one day, we're going to go this company, this company, this company. And I remember we showed up the first week. We went door to door to door. By the end of the first week, we had 200 rejections, not a single.
I suppose, you know, we got into a fight, we had disagreements, and then like, no, sir, it's not working out.
So all of those moments and many more, we went through that. For us to be here today to say we own a professional football club, we went through the grind for many, many years, and we had so many of those setbacks.
And that's the part of the journey. I think both of us come from a similar background of, you know, we didn't have the perfect life. We didn't have it all set out for us. We were the outcast, the black sheep of the family and of the groups. And we had the vision to like hustle and like get to the very top. And I think that aligned goal allowed us to like convene and actually push through like a lot of these things. I want to tell them about like how that Spain thing came about.
Yeah.
So I think a big turning point, obviously we did like for a couple of years, we did some things, videos, content together. And the big turning point was, we're taking this seriously, is right after like the COVID thing happened, it was calming down a little bit in 2021. And this is when you actually started your 365 days of signing a pro contract. And I remember watching that. I was like, what's TikTok? This is cool. But like, yeah, are you sure it's going to work? And, you know, I was working a proper job back then, junior project manager. And like, this was like pretty cool for me coming right after uni, you know. Pay was good, and you know I was building myself up, and you know I had a sustained life. And I remember he kept building up, and one day he called me, and I believe it was April, May.
Yeah.
He gave me a call and he said, "Dan, I'm gonna go to Spain. Like I want to talk to you about it. Like I want you to come with me." And I'm telling him on the phone, like, "You're out of your mind." Like he tells me, like, "Listen, just get on a phone call with me later tonight, Zoom call, and we'll figure this out." So later that night, we got on a call, and let's just say after 2 hours of talking, I went in the next day and I put in my, I quit my job. Like I literally put in the letter to.
Wow.
It was literally like that. And over the phone, like, you know, he said, "Listen, we don't have to make this like a full-time thing. Like you come out, just try it for a month." And he talked about the vision and we talked about things. And in that moment, I realized, you know what? Honestly, there's a bigger world out there. I can always be in an office. I can always be.
You always
left
fall
behind.
back on a 9 to 5.
Exactly. And that's always going to be there. Money's always going to be there. But what's not going to be there is your youth.
Yeah.
And the experience of the world.
And this opportunity, you know, it can be gone like that if you don't put your heads together. And I love this story, man. Sorry, keep going.
No, absolutely. And it's like, for me, I've known Soheil for quite a long time, and I've seen the dedication and the efforts he's put into every single thing he's done, from traveling alone to the multiple different countries to do the trials with no support around him. That shows dedication towards a certain goal and success that he has. And for me, I thought, you know what if I can come in and bring my specialty and combine it to make this something really big and something to the next level. And, you know, I saw opportunity together. I saw opportunity in him. And that's where like the journey of, you know, quit the job, leave Canada behind, let's go to Spain.
Yeah.
And let's have like a crazy next couple of years together. That's where it like really actually started.
Oh man, this just warms my heart and fires me up so much, because coming from similar history as you guys, you know, immigrant parents, you know, it's always doctor, lawyer, engineer. We've heard it a million times. You know, there's a clear path to what success looks like. And this is giving no shade, most love possible to our parents. That's what they know, right? They just want what's best for us. But to take that and say, well, you know what? Yes, I can fall back on that, but I'm going to lean in on the opportunity right now. I see the vision. You guys are visionaries, but then anyone could do that part. What I'm talking about up until that, it's the execution. And so that's what really, really interests me about your guys' story, is that, you know, how many like two boys in high school come up with ideas and we're like, yo, we're gonna take over the world. You know, stick it to the man, screw this job, I'm gonna go all in on my dream, my passion. But then life hits you in the face. And how many of these stories do you hear all the time of people who are like, yeah, bro, I was gonna go pro and then I got, you know, this. Or, yeah, bro, like, yeah, me and my boy, like, we were gonna start this business, but, you know, then, you know, I had to take a job. And you guys actually did it and went all in on it. So sorry to interrupt your story, but tell me more then about actually going to Spain. What happens then?
Man, I feel like they deserve to know like what actually happened in Spain.
Yeah, that is a pretty big paparazzi. Yeah.
I'm gonna let you start this one.
Okay. Yeah. So the thing is, we could literally sit here and talk for 20 hours. And it's not going to cover all the stories of the last 3 years. But if we're quickly zooming in on Spain, this is the story of Spain. So we're going to Spain. At this time, I've got like 100,000 people tuning into the journey. There's a lot of pressure. And I was going to a showcase. I show up to the showcase. A week before going to the showcase, I had a knee-on-knee collision and I had a very bad knee injury. I didn't tell anyone. I couldn't. It was very difficult to say, hey, I have a knee injury. I'm going on the trial. I went on the trial. I remember I'm like 5-day trial. If I can just get through to day 3, 4, last day, if the knee hurts, I'll push through it. Double days every day. Day 1, first session, the knee's hurting. It's starting to take a hit. I'm trying to do sprints. It's hurting. I take painkillers for the second session. I get through the whole week. I do just enough to be selected as one of the 3 players who then gets a trial with a professional club. So then that was a fantastic moment. So then I remember there was a little transition phase before the trial. That's when we connected in Germany at the time, then went back to Spain.
Thing is, I remember flying out and after.
Yeah.
And I remember getting a text from you saying, bro, my knee's done.
It was done.
I'm like, they're coming to like document the journey, you quit the job. Hey, you know, I'm flying.
Like a 40. Oh, it just started me, man.
And what a start, you know?
Yeah, no, that was crazy. And then, so going back, I'm limping, I'm trying to get recovered. I had a week left. I'm going on YouTube, searching up how do I recover my knee. And then we go back to Spain, and I was supposed to have a trial with the B team of Rayo Vallecano. And at the time, Falcao was playing with the first team. And I remember first team was training here. We had a little bit of a fence. And then you had the B team. It was their whole training complex. Showed up to the first day. And it was a proper training complex. So you had the security and the bodyguards. We got to the front. We said, hey, we're here to train with the club. It's a trial. They're like, who are you? Or like, from the showcase, da, da, da. He goes and checks, comes back. He says, we don't know anything about you. So we're like, whoa, what's going on here? We took metro all the way. The journey's building up. Everybody's tuning in. Long story short, day one, we can't train. I can't train with the team. We go back home. We're like, okay, this is ridiculous. I go and I message the showcase guy. I'm like, what's happening? You know, people are tuning in. We have to make this trial happen. Day two, we go, we show up, we get to the gate, we talk to the bodyguard. Oh, remember, we were here yesterday. We talked to the guy. He said he talked to your guy. We're going to train today. Goes back and forth. 10, 15 minutes go by. We can't have you train. It's not being approved by the management. We're like, this is ridiculous.
Well, it was had all being documented.
It's all documented.
Be shared.
Then go back. And I remember the second day we went back, I'm like, I have to think of something to kind of finesse and get through. And I think we have so many finesse stories, the two of us, where we've used the third door to get in, and then us getting into that environment gets us to the next one.
You have to.
I thought, okay, clearly these showcase guys aren't doing it for me. I have to take ownership of the situation. How can I do this? I went to a print shop downtown and I printed a CV. I got the copy and I hyped myself up. I'm like training, Team Canada training camp, and some shit on it. And I printed it out, and then we went on day 3 together. Day 3 of like, this is really supposed to happen. And same story again. They're like, no, you can't train. The guys didn't make the communication. And then long story short, show the CV, hype myself up like crazy. He's like, listen, you get 1 session. And half of the energy was like, give him the session.
Yeah, like this. What is it? Or like, give him the session. It almost out of pity.
I saw walking in there. I'm nervous. So many people are tuning in. Dan is like across the fence trying to get the saga.
The whole facility, like, how film. Could barely just let him in. We're not doing it.
I'm like looking around, like, where's Dan? You know, like. So I do the training session, and I performed very well on an injured knee. It was almost recovered, but it's still injured. I performed very well. They brought me back. Long story short, I trained with them for 2 weeks. The last day, they said, listen, we're not offering you a contract. So that was a very difficult moment, and everybody tuning in, having to break the news to them. And, you know, it got to the point where it was so close to the transfer window, and
That's the big thing too.
we were like, do we have to go back to Canada? What are we going to do? And I remember the reflection we had at the time is like, we cannot let the fans down. We have to find a way. We had 2 days left in the transfer window before signings cannot be made. I went on Transfer Market. I found every single club in Madrid, 3rd division, 4th, 5th division, sent emails, made contacts. All the Spanish guys, they wouldn't really reply because they weren't good at English. I found one guy. He played for a team in the Tercera division. He was from the US. I remember I find his Instagram. I hit him up. I'm like, yo, do you want to grab a coffee? He replies. And this is like after sending 50 messages of people who don't reply. Meet up with him for coffee. He gets me connected to the coach of the team. That is my opportunity. So that night I go and I train with the team. And long story short, there was maybe about 2-3 days max of the window ending. There were 2 or 3 different clubs I had to rotate through. One of which was the story where I went halfway across the city with the metro and he didn't let me play. But on the final day, I went to a club at the time called Concepcion and performed really well, and they took me on that final day.
No.
So I signed, although it was in the Preferente division, which is semi-professional, it was something for the fans. It showed the dedication, it showed the persistence, and then...
And I want to give some context about the situation, by the way.
Yeah.
Me and him, we're living off our savings.
Yeah.
We're living in Airbnbs.
That's not cheap, bro.
And it's not cheap, especially in Madrid, in the city center. We came in knowing that there's an opportunity with this one club, and that fell through. And suddenly there's nothing on the line anymore. Now we're like, okay, what are we doing? And it takes another level of persistence to say we're not going to give up and we're going to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And that encouragement to keep going forward allowed, us to actually keep going. We signed with that Club Concepcion, and that let us say, okay, we're gonna stay here for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that was a very big moment. And there's so many moments where we were like, okay, don't know, like, should we stop? Like, should we cut our losses?
Yeah.
And I think that happens multiple times in the journey.
Of course.
But to find an opportunity during all that mental stress, it's actually like another level of experience that a lot of people don't really see.
Yeah, that was a crazy phase.
I think, one thing that's really special and I think core to this story is obviously there's talent, there's dedication, there's, you guys are both kind of yin yang in the way that you bring together 2 very different but complementary skill sets, right? And as like brothers, basically, as really, really good friends going into this almost joint venture. It's not just his success is your success and vice versa, right? But the trials and tribulations early on, it's so important to be challenged because God, the universe, is like testing you. How bad do you really want it? Like how, like, you know, and there's so many moments, and I can relate in many, many ways in my own journey as well, and in business and you know, life, where I've been knocked down. And to this day, I mean, we all do. You just keep getting punched, but it's like, how often are you going to keep getting back up? And boy, did you guys get back up and keep it going. What was the timeline? So right now we're talking about this Spain thing. Is this still 2021?
Yeah.
This is still 2020. So this is the first year you started documenting.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to let the fans down. You get the semi-pro look, and then what happens?
So we're in Spain, not really making any money. And we're like, okay, how can we make this work? So we had the skill set of creating videos, and we thought, okay, if we can get some client work that can pay the rent, that can pay some of our food. I remember at the time we went to a football club. We did some work for them for free. Like we went, did work for free left and right. And then there was a point where I think we were about to lock in our first 500 euro client. We were so excited. So I remember like those days. We finished the meeting. We found this what was the breakfast spot called? La Rollerie. La Rollerie. We walked by, we checked the menu, like 22 euros for a meal. We never went in. That day, we're like almost closing the 500 euro. It was like a verbal close, you know?
Oh, yeah.
We walk back, we go to that place. We're like, let's go. We hit it. We did it. Long story short, 2 days later, he comes back with unfortunate news. We own the deal didn't close. But anyways, we continue to go. We found other clients to make it work. But again, there's such a big story. I think recapping the Spain era, it was just a lot of grind. Like,
For sure.
I had my football. We were doing social media together, documenting the journey. And then at the same time, we were also forecasting as to what is next, because Spain is an extremely saturated market with
Very competitive.
incredibly competitive, and in the mid to lower leagues, you're not going to be making much money.
No.
So to work your way up as a foreigner is extremely challenging. So I remember at the time, Dan and I were always looking for ways to grow, upgrade, and we started getting in the event space. So I found out about this event, and we talked. We're like, yo, we have to make it out. But at the time, we were checking the tickets, 1,000 euros entry.
Oh, fuck.
Highest ticket, chairperson, 24,000 euros. We see the people we want to connect with. We're like, we have to find a way to make this happen. 2 weeks before the event, every morning and every night, we're sending emails. 3 days before the event, we got a media pass, free ticket.
Okay.
I remember the last bit of our savings, we used it to go to the event. So we had no hotel, we had no flight. But from Madrid to Lisbon, we got on a EasyJet ticket, I believe, at around 20 euros.
Yeah, it was 37 something.
37, cheap.
Yeah.
The Airbnb
I don't know how long specifically. Like, so we need.
And the Airbnb, we went on the radar, we found the cheapest one, and we're like, yo, let's go. We got there, it was like an hour and a half away from the venue in like the middle of nowhere. But we went to those events, we tried to make connections, grow a network, and again, so many cool stories within that. But to recap, one situation then created a connection in Dubai. So I got connected with a club in Dubai, and there was an opportunity to go there and trial. And by the end of year one, the goal was not accomplished. So I hadn't signed the pro contract. I remember we went back to Canada at the time, and
Yeah. I wanted to share, like, if this is the part of the journey where the downs really happened, and there's a lot of questioning of should we move forward or not.
For sure.
I remember there was a moment where, like, I'm gonna be honest, like, financially this was very hard to pull off.
yeah.
And there was a moment I remember checking the bank account. There's like $10 left, and we're just like,
I have the screenshot, by the way. I have it probably, if we go on my phone, 67 euros. I remember the value. That's how much.
We'll edit that in for sure.
I'll get you that. So, and for us, it's like we're there, like, grinding on this, and it's just like the money's draining, the resources are going away. And for us, it was like, okay, many times we're just sitting together, frustrated in the living room, editing him after training, like, all night, coming back and being like, okay, how do we make this work? And I remember there was a moment where, you know, me and him had a very deep chat, and I remember Soul telling me, look, Dan, at the end of the day, whatever happens, as I grow and as I win and as we move forward, my network is your network. When I win, you win. and we're gonna celebrate together. This isn't just I win and this is my thing. This is a collective thing, and we're investing in this together. And I remember when I had that conversation, I felt like, okay, this is really like, it's a joint effort.
For
This
sure.
isn't just, I'm helping Soul document his journey, or I'm getting a certain amount of exposure from this and this. It's a collective dream to like make an impact at a bigger level, and there's much deeper purpose to what we're doing. So, and that was like the turning point for me, where I said, honestly, all this is worth it. There's loyalty here and there's strength over here, and it makes sense to move forward regardless of the situation.
Wow.
And we still went back to Canada.
Yeah.
We closed the Spain arc, and that's when the first year ended. And I know you announced on your page. What did you announce?
So first year ended. I was so happy, by the way, because I was also taking full-time school. I was doing 6 classes while I was in Spain. So I remember towards the end of that year, it was like, I'm done exams, so you go even more focused with football and social media. So then year 2, at the end of the year 1, failed, but obviously never going to give up. Never going to give up, always going to continue to push. And that was just a central theme of the journey.
100%.
If you give up on day 242, day 243 might be the day where you make it, where you close that client, where you meet that person. And that applies for any given day for any individual. The next day, the next meeting you have, it can change your life.
Well, it's not even just, you guys said before something so important that actually Michael Jordan used to say all the time. It's like, I can't let the fans down. Like, I can't. No matter what, he would perform the best that he could, even if it was a whack team, whatever. But at the same time, I think there is something deeper there between you two as well. And individually, your faith and belief that this is going to work, but also not letting yourselves down. Because for you, like, correct me if I'm wrong, don't let me put words in your mouth, but it's like, I can feel this way. It's like, not like there is no losing. Maybe I don't hit this particular goal that I set out to, but no, we pivot, we adjust, we change course. Talk to me about year 2 changing course.
Year 2, changing course, a very difficult start, by the way. I remember back in Canada, COVID time, wave 2, 3, whatever, 8, whatever wave it was. And family member gets sick. I had a trial opportunity to first go to Germany and Austria.
Okay.
No, I had the opportunity to go to Dubai.
Okay.
So that was the end of the year. I had the opportunity to go to Dubai. Family member was sick. I prioritized family because that's my number 1 priority in life. So I decided to stay back. The opportunity fell through in Dubai. This was extremely challenging because I was still documenting everything on social media. This was probably the most difficult phase of the journey to date, mentally.
Yeah.
Why? Because that phase, every single video I was posting, you can go check my TikTok, we can take screenshots. I wasn't only getting significant hate comments. You're shit, you're never gonna sign, you're wasting opportunities, give it to another player, this guy's trash, give up, go get a job. It wasn't just hate comments, it was like multiple hate comments that were getting like 300 likes, 2,000 likes. It's like, wow, these mass groups of people who are all hating on me and agreeing. And it went from year 1 was hype, like I'm documenting.
Everyone writes you on your way up,
But cheers, and then it's like, why does he keep pushing? Like, why does he keep going? I don't like this. And the keyboard warriors, those who have quit on their dream, they're upset that you keep going. And it gives them a reason to hate themselves.
Oof.
So they start throwing their negativity at you. So that was the first couple of weeks of year 2, which was extremely challenging. But thank God that my family member got better. And then Dubai wasn't there, but there was an opportunity to go to Germany at the time. And our commitment always, we have an opportunity, we take it. We have to make it work. So I went to Germany at the time, had a couple of weeks, very challenging in Germany again, both mentally from, the hate perspective to the performances on the football pitch, having to deal with all that. Meanwhile, I created Dubai again with another club.
Okay.
And that was where, I was in Germany, Austria. I remember Dan at the time was still in North America. And I think the plan was like, do I stay in Austria, Germany and try and make it happen there? I couldn't sign until the next window opened up. Or do we take this risk in Dubai? We're still on a budget. Money is tight. We take the risk. March 6th, 2022, I arrive on a one-way. I think the following day you arrive watch away.
March 9, I think.
March 2 days at well, he arrives on a one-way take-in. We only had an Airbnb booked for 1 week, nothing else. Pretty much like very low on money after that, no plan. But all we had is I had the connection with that football club that got back to me to be able to train with them and have a trial to showcase myself. And I remember even getting to the airport. The first day I got to the airport, I was debating whether to pay for the Careem/Uber or to get a car rental, because I remember that the cost was like $40 to get back to the, and money was quite tight. And we went there that first week we arrived. I went to trials. We documented that whole process. And within that first week, it was, okay, what connections can we make to start pulling in client work to sustain ourselves in week 2? And to be honest with you, it wasn't that smooth. It wasn't like all of a sudden we got a client and that sustained. So we really had to squeeze our saves.
Did you guys go into debt at all? And credit cards? Did you start to take where's the money coming from at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I had some savings that growing up, I was always very careful with my finances because, I came from parents that, they made the move to Canada and they couldn't get back into their jobs. I know a lot of immigrant parents can relate, and I know Dan can relate to this as well, and probably a lot of people watch it. Growing up, we didn't have the luxury of being able to spend on whatever we want.
The financial abundance.
I went to the store as a kid. I see my parents going for the discount prices. So growing up, I was always like, I have to save up. So all those savings piling up, that fueled some of it. And it was very challenging, to be honest. It was a very challenging time, but I think, when you get to those moments where it's like, okay, you can either quit and go back and do the safe route, or you can get to the last straw. You have to be willing to get to the last straw. And that's what we did in chapter 1. We call it chapter 1 of Dubai.
100%.
We literally squeezed the juice out of it.
Credit cards were maxed out. That was part of the journey, And chapter 1 finished.
Yeah.
I went to Bali. You went back to Canada.
By the way, conflict. I want to be real with the audience. Not everything was going smooth. Chapter 1, we're in Dubai. We're excited. I'm on trial. 2 weeks in, I tore my medial ligament in the ankle. So the opportunity fell through. At the time, it was on hold. It was once you're healed again, come and try. So at the time, we're trying to get client work. We had this project we wanted to do, but things weren't working out. We're not making money. And now it's 2 months into Dubai. So just the reality of situations. And then you went in the summer. We had a bit of you went to Bali. I was in Canada. And then chapter 2 was crazy again, because chapter 2, I remember the entry back into Dubai. Again, we were tight on money. So the way we got in, I DM'd a bunch of people. And one guy was like, if you do video work for me, I'll pay 1 month of your Airbnb. That was our way back in. So we had 1 month Airbnb.
Let's go.
We come back. I'm in preseason with the team. They've now moved up to the UAE second division.
Okay.
And now we're back in Dubai and we're creating content for this client. And we're like, listen, let's do this social media agency because this is something that we can count on to bring us money. And Dubai was the perfect opportunity with that. They value social media, and the grind started. We're morning to nighttime, from early morning trainings. I'm out there grinding. You're there documenting, to then we're trying to take meetings, trying to close clients, filming content. But step by step, that journey continued, which I think ultimately was quite a successful year for us.
No, definitely. I think the big highlight of that year was you finally and officially signed a professional football contract, which you totally skipped over, by the way. I remember I was there filming videos on the camera on the phone, and the days were counting down, and the transfer window was getting closer and closer to finishing. And I believe it was just 3 days left. Yeah, 3 days left. And the manager brought us in, and I was like, wow, they're really just gonna sack us. I'm gonna go in there with my camera and I'm gonna record the bad news. And we go sit in. The guy looks at us, the manager, and he says, listen, we've liked your performance, Soheil, and we want to officially sign you on our team. And that was a big moment of okay, okay, we did it. And I remember the following day we made that video.
Yeah.
We actually, we made the announcement video. We did it. Soheil signed a pro football contract that went mega viral.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, whoa, I knew it. I believed in
This whole journey was there since day 1, day 8. I was there.
I bet some of those haters were in the comments too, yeah, but I always believed in you. I had some niggas in him 6 months ago. Hold on. Wait, man.
And then suddenly all the hate comments became love comments. I we believed in you, Soheil. And You know what that did? That special moment of announcing that we did it, it inspired millions and millions of people that watched that video. They went like, I can do this too. Wow. And that's the impact of the journey of truly documenting the downs and the highs. And that's the big impact we made. And now when, like, you know, when you walk around, everyone's like, Soheil, I remember your journey. I remember the Rival Icano days. I remember this. And this is like a true impact that you can make through social media, right? So that happened, and that was a very big moment. And another big thing in our timeline was the social media agency and utilizing our skills as content creators to make it into a business. And for a long time, it was, let's trade our hours for like work and money. And it was a repetitive, like, you know, working mad hours, not sleeping and repeating. And I remember like 1 month we got the money, and we said, okay, let's try and like take our paycheck and like give it to someone else. Let's try that. And we hired like our first ever like person as a
That's scary. It's scary to do that.
You're not doing the job. Someone else is doing it for you, and you're not going to get the money. And this was like a pivotal moment of risk. And at the same time, it expanded our mindset to believe you want to delegate, you want to expand. And now suddenly, a month later, 2 months later, we had a company, we had clients, and we were making big impact in the social media space here in Dubai. And we had, I would say, like good success with that. Like we had quite a lot of viewership, clientele was coming in, Soho season was underway, and you know, 2022 came to an end. So continuing that.
So yeah, that season finished off. We had a great team performance. We finished first place. We won the league. So from signing the pro contract to then winning an official league championship in like within 10 months later, that was amazing. So then what happened was summer hit, so off season hit, and then it's time to go back to Dubai. So we knew we want to continue in Dubai, and we were thinking, what is next? So at the time, we had some challenges. I had some challenges with my former club because there were certain things with management behind the scenes that were unprofessional. And then also what I noticed is there was a bit of ego at play with, I had a personal brand that was getting a lot of attention. And you know how some people are sometimes when that takes all the attention, they get upset.
Yeah, it's not about the team anymore. And then it's like, hey man, you gotta put this aside. Like,
Exactly. So that happened. Plus, when you move up to the first division, UAE first division, there's certain restrictions in terms of how many foreign players you can have. And most of our team had to be released moving into next year. I came back to Dubai for pre-season, got those news. That was quite frustrating. And then it was, okay, where do we go from here? So I had to find a new club. I didn't have that much time to find a new club. Now I started messaging some clubs who at the start were like, you just won the championship, you're a great player, like come on in, we'd love to have you. And then one club all of a sudden started ghosting me a couple days before. And I later found out from somebody who had signed with the club, who was my friend, that they didn't want to take me in because of my social media. Not even let me train with them, because they thought, okay,
they thought we might be a distraction.
they thought if they bring me in, it takes the attention away from the club. So it's becoming a team thing. Every focus goes into the individual. That's what he told me directly from the manager.
Wow.
And that happened with one other club as well. And then it created this frustrating time period where I remember we were on the whiteboard and Dan and I were planning what is the next move. And we're thinking, okay, plan to World Cup, road to Division 1. We're coming up with these themes and these storylines. And I was studying the league system, and I noticed in the UAE third division, which is the umbrella of the professional leagues in the UAE FA, they're allowing new clubs to come in. And some of the new clubs, one or two of them, were quite unprofessional in how they were running their stuff.
Okay.
So I looked at them like, yo, like surely we could put in a club ourselves. And what if part of the reflection I also had at the time from my own personal football journey is a lot of my teammates and former football friends that I've been with, unfortunately, outside of football, they didn't have anything else.
This was it.
They only had football.
Yeah.
And they didn't know how to take care of their finances.
Right.
Many of them were broke. Nobody knew how to build a brand and build a network and build connections. And I thought, with the journey that we've shared, you know, being blessed to have the personal brand through my football journey, I thought, okay, what if there's a football club created where we empower the players to build brands for themselves, but also educate them on the resources and tools for them to succeed, teach them about finances, teach them about social skills, teach them to train the mind and develop the mind, teach them to get into coaching, education, whatever it is that they want to do, so that they're not only winners on the football pitch, but also outside of it. So we brewed up this idea in the living room. We would have late night chats. And we're like, yo, this is it. This is the idea that is not only going to go crazy, but it was a impact calling to us. And we talked, it connected with us from the heart, because we knew this is the impact that we can make on the current and the next generation of athletes. And we can make this impact. We're changing human lives. Their careers, their lives are going to be more fulfilled and better because of this club and because of this vision and the mission.
Wow.
So I remember it was September of 2023. Come up with the idea, and we're like, okay, we're going to share it. We're going to do this 365 days, use the same marketing storyline again.
I remember it was like that night that we came up with the idea was literally we started talking at 11:30 p.m. at night after your training. Yeah, it was frustrated in the living room, and Soheil brought the idea to me. I'm like, bro, you're crazy. Could we? And we went back and forth, and from a little back and forth, a lot of excitement brewed up, and we had goosebumps at one point. We were just like, whoa, this could happen. Like, I believe in you. Do you believe in me? Like, and it was like, let's do it. So
Why not us? Why can't we do it?
literally, and I remember like I had the pen out and we were just brainstorming many ideas. How do I do that? How do we do this? How do we do this? And the next day, what did we do?
The next day, literally, we're going for it. We're documenting it with the world. Take in no concrete plan. 98% of what it takes to build a pro football club, we didn't know. We're like,
Seriously, we
yeah, I'm serious. Pro football club, let's go. This is gonna do it. Cool.
First escalated.
And we're like documenting this. First video goes up. We're announcing the challenge. 365 days to building a pro football club starts today.
That was October 2023.
October 2023.
October 1.
October 1st, 2023. And I remember we didn't know how to do it. So the next day we're like, we should probably figure this out. So we sit down, we create this plan. We're like, okay, phase 1, club identity. Phase 2, investment funding. Phase 3, coach, players. Phase 4, XYZ. So we start planning it out. And the first couple of weeks and months were so exciting. In my opinion, there was so much fun because, we were making the name. We're making the logo, the colors. But
That's always fun. It started with extra fun, but
And you know what made it special is we decided we're gonna get the fans to build it with us. It was such a community-based project. We want to do it for the people. We're doing it for the people, so it's only right to let them pick the name, pick the colors, pick everything. So every time we make a video, like, guys, what do you want the name to be called? And they would submit over 1,000 different names, and we'd go through the name.
Every video is me and Soheil sitting like waking through the logos, the submissions, everything. And we had the names first.
Yeah.
And we picked Al Qabila FC. We had like a bunch of picks. And then we had the colors come up. And there were many.
what's the story behind the name? Sorry, real quick.
So Al Qabila FC, it was one of the submissions into the poll. And, we went deeper into what the names meant from what the fans submitted. And Al Qabila translates exactly to the tribe.
The tribe.
And it means a family in Arabic. And we just thought, this is crazy. Like, why don't we just translate that for the fans? Let's put it out there. Al Qabila means the tribe. What do you guys think? And suddenly that had the most likes, the most hearts on it. And everyone said Al Qabila, Al Qabila. And the next video, like, how did we announce it? We did a crazy ass video, right?
The names we announced on horses.
On horses.
Yeah, and then the colors, we took paint, put it in a paintball, and we threw it at a canvas. Every video was
Most vile video.
there is the views. By the way, that video, I remember we show up the first day, we were trying to film it, and then we were like trying to fill up the balloons. It failed. We're like, we have to go back. And then I remember we went to the desert. We didn't really, you need a permit.
It was like 5 a.m. in the morning.
There's like cop cars. Be careful. We go behind the dune. We're like setting up and stuff. So a lot of crazy video ideas. And then it took us all the way to the kit, which shout out to Deepak for rocking the kit. What do you think of the kit?
Brother, I had the cup. I love it. First of all, for context, I'm not a big football fan, bro. I played American football my whole life. I have so much respect for football. Everything that you guys do is amazing. I don't own one jersey, in a football jersey. I had to cop this. Look at how clean this is, bro. The colors, the logo, everything, like class, pure class.
You know what's cool about that? It was fully made by our fans. So our fans designed from the colors to the design to the collar to what everything looks like was built by the fans. It makes it super special because they got to make it and they're part of building the club. Barakat, you enjoy it. Yes, I love it. On the back of the collar, it says "Welcome to the tribe." So you're officially part of the tribe.
Beautiful, man. I appreciate that, man.
You know, like the next phase on the journey was now we're building the identity of the brand. The club is coming to life, but we need to actually build investment because investment is what actually takes the club for a project like this at this scale to actually happen. You can have all the fancy media and everything, but the funding is what you need. So yeah, there was an event that we go to every single year. It's called the Web Summit. It happens in Lisbon. More than 70,000 people go there. It's a massive tech event, and you have a lot of sports legends going there. So we were in Dubai and we checked the speaker list, and guess who was going? Patrice Evra. So I believe you were speaking this night, right? So he had a speaking gig, and so we took a flight to Lisbon, and we posted a video on social media. Everyone go tag Patrice Evra because we want to get his attention. And Patrice Evra is like a big legend, Manchester United, played many years, and he's very, very well known, one of the most famous football players of all time. And he was at the event, but we couldn't catch him. So we made a video, and everyone started attacking Patrice Evra. So on one of the last days, Patrice walks in, and I remember he looks at us and he pauses. He's like, "Wait, I know you. You're the guy in the video. Everyone's tagging me." And he comes to us. He's like, "You guys are crazy. What do you want? I'm gonna give you some time. What do you want to talk about?"
Yeah.
And I remember we had a meeting. We told him about the vision, and he was like, "Holy shit. Like, okay, this is really interesting." And he really commended us for having such a vision. And we filmed a little video, like, to tell him about that experience meeting Patrice Evra for the first time.
It was crazy because Patrice, celebrity, difficult to get around. He had bodyguards, everything. And the idea with the video was if we can get the attention, and then once we're at the event, if we can find where he's at, we get in, share the vision with him. So to hear him say he loves the vision and it's making a positive impact, that was amazing to hear.
You know you're on the right track. You got the validation of the idea and concept.
100%. So we were super excited, but you know, any like top tier celebrity, go talk to my manager. So we get the manager card. So then we're like, we're going to follow up. We're persistent. We're trying to make it happen. At the same time, we're like, okay, we'll look at other options and continue to work. The manager card is a slow play, as you can imagine, you know, lots of roadblocks in the way. So that situation kind of stalled. Now we're going to other events. I was speaking at World Football Summit in Saudi. We're in Saudi together, like going up to people, pitching the project. And we're just trying to make connections happen and trying to get investors on board. And then the highlight of that was right around moving into 2024. It was around the New Year's. I got invited to the UAE Super Cup, went out there. Long story short, after the game, we got invited down to go celebrate with the players and the staff. And then security guard, bodyguard type character pulls us to the side.
This was a pretty cool moment for us.
Pulls us to the side, and then we get to meet His Highness Sheikh Ahmed, who at the time we were new to the country. We respectfully didn't know who he was, but he was such an amazing person. And I remember the aura, you could tell. You could tell it was someone special, but genuinely treated him just like a brother, just like a friend. And I think he really appreciated that, whereas a lot of other people might
Put them on a pedestal and treat them very different. And yeah.
And that built a relationship between myself, Daniyal, and Sheikh Ahmed over the next couple of weeks. We started taking him out to play touch tennis, and then we did a paddle, and then we got coffee with him. And this guy loves football. He loves football. When Ronaldo's in town, he meets him. When Messi's in town, he meets him, you know? And after the next couple of weeks, we got closer and closer to him. He loves football. So it was the perfect opportunity to bring him on the project. So there was a time where we eventually pitched it to him, and he loved the idea. He loved the idea. Now, it wasn't so smooth for it to be like we pitched the idea, he was on right away. There's a couple meetings that took place. He's royal family at the end of the day. So he's from the royal family of the UAE, and it's quite difficult to get a hold of him. So I remember we were making meetings happen, sharing the vision. He believed in the vision. But then there were moments where maybe he would go to London, and then we wouldn't have as much contact with him. So
And I want to give some context to where we are in this situation. So January, February, and we're slowly building the relationship with His Highness. And at the same time, we have a goal of producing at least one video every single day, content creation. We have a goal of getting a UAFA license, which is a very important step in actually attaining a license to have a pro football club. And licenses are not easily developed. So we're making documents for that. We're making a plan for how we're going to hire coaches and who we're going to hire. And at the same time, a part of the process was how can we onboard and talk to His Highness and tell him more about the project. And, you know, he was a very hard person to catch because, again, when you're at a certain level of status where even celebrities, they want to come see you, it's really hard to catch that guy's attention. And, you know, whenever we did, we would try and make the most of it. And for us, we were never forcing a relationship. And it was always, let's treat each other as friends. And, you know, whether it's a fan, whether it's His Highness, whether it's a close colleague, it's always equal treatment and treating someone with kindness. So that was going on, and slowly, like, you know, he went to London. We were coming into April now, and we had still not finalized who the investor was going to be.
Yeah.
And now it's getting worrying because the project is supposed to be finished in October, and we're already in April.
Right.
We're at the halfway mark, and like we haven't made progress on money yet. So I remember you went to Austria to do some paperwork.
Yeah.
And I was in Dubai, and Soheil told me, he's like, Dan, like, I'm gonna try and invite the Sheikh to Austria to do some like stuff for the club and like do some interesting things. And like just be on standby. If he says yes, just book a flight and show up in Austria. And I was like, okay, that's crazy. I don't think he will. And I remember I was in Dubai filming content. We were doing things, and Soheil was in Austria. And literally, I think 2 days later, I got a text and it said, Dan, book a flight to Austria tomorrow. Be here. And the Sheikh is going to be here too.
Wow.
And I know you were speaking to him. You made this whole itinerary. Yeah, when he gets the plan, come through, it's going to be crazy. And that was a very cool moment where he came to Austria. I came to Austria. And I was expecting him to be with bodyguards. Yeah, but he wasn't. It was just
He
him.
really just trusted you guys and was just like, these are like my boys.
And I was like, whoa, okay, very interesting. There has to be someone watching us. But we had a pretty cool time in Austria. We went from club to club. What were the main clubs that we went to?
We went to Rapid Wien, Red Bull Salzburg, Sturm Graz.
And these are all across the
First
country.
division.
So we have a little car, we have a BMW, and we do a little road trip, us three, and we're going from like one city to another city, and we're bonding. We're talking about business. We're talking about club. We're talking about future and exciting things we want to do to change football. And after the whole trip, the 5 days that we had together, it was the last day, and we went to his hotel to drop him off. It was pretty late at night, and he said, guys, like he was actually stuck outside because he left his card in his room. So the reception was coming, and we were just standing at the gate, and we were just like, he just said, guys, honestly, like the fact that I did this trip, I'm so glad because I got to know you guys for who you are, and I feel so much more comfortable with you. And I want to tell you guys something. And, you know, we were like, okay, let's sit down. We sat in the lobby of that hotel, and we talked about the club, and he said, I want to be part of this. I want to work with you guys, and I want to take this to the next level. That was a very big turning point in Al-Qabilasi's journey and our journey as well, where having His Highness interested in the project, not through demand and pitching and so and so and so, but
Through vibes, through energy.
vibe, energy, and like proper intentions.
Yeah.
And I remember we talked for hours that night.
Hours.
Me and Soheil, like we all shook hands at one point. Me and Soheil walk out of the hotel at 5 a.m. in the morning. The sun's like the sky's turning blue, and I remember just looking at him. We just shook hands for a good like 60 seconds. We're just shaking our hands. We're like, bro, like we're gonna do this. It's gonna happen. And that was a big moment from the Austria trip.
When we were shaking hands, I'm like, let's take a selfie to remember this moment. I take it, the time, 3:33.
Ooh, that's my number, bro. That's my number, bro. Oh my God. Wow. Wow. First of all, thank you guys for sharing that whole story. Incredible. I can't imagine the the feeling from the lowest of lows, $10 in your account, not knowing if you're gonna even be able to, get your Airbnb that same day, how you're gonna get home, let alone the whole footy journey, to literally sitting, meeting, hanging out with the shooting these shots, but these organic shots that Sheikh Ahmed felt, right? It was so cool for him to be with some normal guys and just be doing normal things and like hang out for something he has a respective passion in. And he's like, yeah, no, I want to be a part of this. But for you guys to then have that moment, like I can relate in a smaller way, but a lot of my journey, there's a lot of parallels with Jamie. There's been a lot of moments with my business partner, the lowest of lows, the highest of highs, the craziest opportunities, getting in the craziest rooms. But I think one thing I appreciate about you guys is that no matter who it is or how big the opportunity or whatever, you stay documenting, but at the same time, everyone that you're meeting is at eye level. It doesn't matter how big a celebrity they are or how crazy the stuff. You have respect, and you definitely, you're not like, taking advantage of that, but you give that energy and you treat everyone with that level of respect. And you could feel that. I feel that when I meet and hang out with you guys, So I love that. That's an incredible story. What happens next?
So what happens next is we enter a storm. Tuba scare. So what happens next is timeline-wise now, we've got the license. We've got a pro license from the UAE. We're officially a pro football club in the UAE. Great accomplishment. However, that meant our preseason starts in August. Our season starts in September. We need to have a training venue. We need to have players. We need to have staff members. We need to have equipment, accommodation for our players, food, transportation, sign all the legal papers, sort finances. Everything needs to be ready in the next 60 days. 60 days after that meeting. So we had 2 months to make this happen. And zooming out of that 2-month period, it was a lot of, okay, let's set the exact action steps that need to take place. We had already mapped this out prior. We had a 5-year financial plan with our CFO that we recruited. We had everything ready to go. Due to some challenges and obstacles that came up in terms of the resources we could have access to going into preseason, the storm started. Mid-August, I just want to be real with the audience because now they've seen the first 6 months of the football journey. And we're doing well. We're competing for that promotion. And the social media has been there and people are tuning into the club. But behind the scenes, there's been some challenges. There's been big challenges, especially moving into the preseason. Imagine having this master plan of wanting to change the space, having a unique club, but then all of a sudden you show up in preseason and the resources you're supposed to have don't even get cut short by even a quarter of that. And then you have to try and maximize things. And it was very challenging. There were days where it was like, where are we training? Where are we training? There were days where we're doing our training camp and we didn't know if the bus was going to come, if we had, the right setup for the bus to come. There were a lot of different situations on that
people's lives that are in our hands, and
you
have to care for them, every single one of them. That's coaching staff, staff that is wondering what's happening, guys. And for us going from just building the idea to suddenly being thrown into the whole operation of the club, that has such a unique stress level to it. Where you'd expect to be working with a specific amount of funding, resources, and those were delayed. And it was literally like Soheil said, it was a storm. Every single day it's me and Soheil waking up and going to the whiteboard being like, okay, like what is today going to look like? How do we solve solutions? How do we avoid getting into more altercations? And it was just a grind. Like I'm telling you, this was probably
so difficult.
the hardest part of my whole journey building the pro football club.
Because how do you even know what to prioritize when there's 700 priorities? I'm genuinely asking, what did you guys do when you go to that whiteboard? What's the thought process like? Walk the fans through when you wake up in the morning. You still have to train and like you still have, like there's all this stuff to do. What do you do? Like how do you organize that?
Man, I remember waking up in the morning. We would both wake up and we would walk out from our bedrooms and be like, yo, did you see that message? This is happening, that's happening. And we would like immediately, like not even like a minute to like say, hi, how are you? We would just straight to, hey, we need to manage this like right now. And it was, sometimes we had the moments to like organize ourselves, but a lot of it was just like things being thrown at us and we just have to like solve it on the spot,
perform.
you know?
Yeah.
How would you say we would manage like solutions for things that didn't really have solutions? How do you think we managed that?
Deepak, the thing is, some mornings we wouldn't even wake up. We would be at the palace until 6 a.m. I'm not kidding. We're there until 6 a.m. And then we have to be at the training venue at 6:20 a.m. I have to train. Dan has to be there to organize things. There was no sleep some of the nights. So there's no waking up. We stayed awake. So we do the training session. Then we get back home. And then we get the pens out. And then we have the whiteboard. And I think for us, one thing that helped was because our planning was great in terms of we knew what needed to be done. So we had a lot of the action steps out on the whiteboard. What does running a football club look like? You need a training venue, you need players, you need transportation, we need to pay them on this date, legal documents need to be covered, UAE registrations need to be done, FIFA medicals need to be done, the list goes on, but we had it all mapped out. The issue was a lot of these things are tied to funding and money and resources. And this is something that we're hit with a very unexpected situation where certain things actually fell out of our control, which made it incredibly difficult. When you're someone who takes complete ownership of everything in your life, and even when things go wrong, you take ownership. And this is also a situation, by the way, that we've taken ownership of. And the way things have mapped out, some have been great, others have not been good. It's still our fault. Everything is our fault.
100%.
But it makes it difficult when there's certain things that are genuinely out of your control.
Yeah, you can't do anything about it.
And that's what made that preseason phase so challenging. But we worked our way through it. We had challenging conversations. We found ways to pivot around, make things work. And long story short, year one of the football club is still ongoing. We're now entering our second half of the season. And there's certain stories that have happened and are happening in phase one, year one of Al Kabila FC, which out of respect and confidentiality, we may not be able to share them today on this podcast, but hopefully in a future podcast, we'll be able to share them. But we worked our way through the preseason phase. We got our way out of it, and we finally entered our season, which started in September of 2024, about 6 months ago. And we're a professional football club. So this was now, by the way, I will mention this, we'll get into the details of it, but we start on October 1st, 2023. September 30th, 2024, that night, we had a meeting that went to about 3 a.m. that officially closed a deal that made us be able to run the football club.
Oh my.
Day 365.
Deepak, I'm telling you, it's like not kidding. We're on a burner the whole year, but these last 30 days, just like we're sweating. Like every single day is like everything. And it came down to the last day. Like we're not even making this up. It was the last night and we closed the deal and we shook hands on something. And the next day was the challenge being completed. How crazy is that?
Wow.
What a way to like.
You can't make this up. You can't make this up. This is the best story I've ever heard in my life. And it's still being written.
It's still being written. It's still being written. We have a video, by the way, the video I took from that night. There's a lot of content we've taken we haven't released. They're going to be on a hard drive waiting for the documentary in the future. But that night at 3 a.m., we got the video of that moment on day 365 to actually document that it happened on the very last day. Of course. But then the season started. So our league games are ongoing. We're now training 4 or 5 times a week. We have our league games every single weekend and still ongoing challenges because now
I think a big moment for us is also like the very first game that happened.
Yeah.
We won that. And that was like insane.
That's monumental.
Imagine working all year with no rewards, nothing, and come into the challenge being finished. And finally, the reward is like the game that we won, that we were so unsure of. Things weren't in place. Players were like frustrated and players came on. We all like worked really hard and we won the game. And that felt like, okay, now we did it. That was like the true moment for me where it felt like we actually did it, you know? It wasn't just the October 1st, like, hey, the challenge is done. It was like the win to solidify that, hey, this is
real now, you know?
And win, and we can make this happen. It's in our control now, you know?
Has it been done before, people at your age, not only like founding a team, but in that time period. Has that ever been done? Like,
I would say it is a world record, and I would say we're probably this is like probably the most unique situation.
because most owners are these older gentlemen, let's just say, that have the capital, the connections, and the biggest hurdle. I mean, I know there's a ton of things you guys had to figure out, with the legalities and getting into the leagues and doing it all proper, right? And the branding, team, coaches, staff, everything. That's all very difficult, and I'm not trying to minimize that in any way.
Yeah.
But the number one thing at the end of the day is the money.
Yeah.
We need to get the money money can solve all those other problems, right?
Okay.
You guys didn't have that. And to not only get that, but then to make it happen on the last day you set out this goal and to be documenting the whole thing. No, there's no way that's ever been done before. I'll say it right here. I'll say it for you guys because you're so humble. That's never been done before. And these guys I'm sitting with right here, like, I'm honored to even get to share the space with you right now, to share this journey. And I can tell you guys were even, we were talking about this a little bit earlier today, Soheil, but like, people are like you and me, we don't dwell on the past too much because we're so focused on the future and while trying to be present. But this is a cool moment for you guys too, to reflect on. Like, I know you're still going through it. I know there's a billion challenges and there's going to be a billion more, I'll tell you right now. But kind of cool, right? Kind of a cool journey, boys.
No, honestly, like lots of gratitude for it. And I will say this isn't like I'm not, I didn't win the Oscar and I'm gonna give that speech. But like honestly, it's not been like a single man effort. It's been an effort of a lot of people, like, my brother Soheil, vice versa for him, me. Our family supporting us, and our mindset coach that has been there with us, like, once a week, getting on a call, guys, what's on your mind? The fans, like every little thing, the coaches, advisories from the UEFA, like every single thing helped us to work together to actually build this. And it's honestly been a big team effort, and props to, Soheil, props to myself. Yeah. We worked our asses off to make this happen, and now it's fully become a team. Like honestly, now it's down to the pitch, to the players, to the coaches to make the next big challenge happen, which is promotion. That's the goal. First year's goal was we're gonna build a club, and now the goal is we're gonna get promoted in our first ever year. Mm-hmm. And again, setting a new record. And I will say, like, it's been a bumpy journey so far on how the season's gone. You would imagine that you put in so much effort into building a pro football club and everything is perfect on the media front. And when it comes to the footballing, it would just be perfect. And it's not the case.
It's not manager mode on FIFA. It's a lot more to it than that.
And I swear, when people say anything can happen in football, it's really like that. Like last minute, something can change and suddenly you have to face with a loss. And you have to figure out how do you take that loss and how do you bounce back stronger. And that's been the journey last couple of months for us, like the ups and downs from starting the football club, operating it, running a team of 30, and being able to sustain a business, operate the business, and at the same time run a amazing media page, which is, I would say it's quite the challenge, but I love it. This, if God made me capable of it, if God gives me the challenge, I know I'm capable of it.
You're prepared to overcome any of them.
Exactly. And that's where we're at right now. And how do you think the last few months have gone for you, also as a player and as an owner doing this whole thing?
As a player and an owner, it's been extremely challenging because as a player playing at the professional level, you have to perform. So I have to optimize my preparation. I have to do the fitness drills. Steven Taylor's our head coach. He loves running us. I have to perform. I have to do well. Sorry, let me change all that. I get to perform.
Yes, sir.
I get to run. I get to prepare. I'm very grateful for all of those things. And at the same time, then I get to run the business. And that hybrid is something that is extremely challenging. But the reflection I had in the summer is it would be such a cool way to end the story of having documented my football journey, to signing a pro contract, to then the evolution of the football club, to then playing for the football club in its inaugural season, and hopefully getting promotion. That would be such a great way to end the athletic side of the journey and then evolve into what we talked about earlier today, which I'm very excited about. But zooming out of just being a player and being the owner, the complexity of unforecasted, and there's certain things that we couldn't predict that happened in the last 6 months, that's been an added layer of challenge. Like, it has been very taxing, both mentally, physically, in all areas of life. However, I will say I am very blessed, and I know, Dan, you feel the same way about the mindset development and the conversations we have and the tools and the skill sets we've been able to develop to handle pressure in a very good way, in a way that promotes our mental health, allows us to show up still prioritizing what's the most important, our relationship with God, our family, the brotherhood that we have, making a positive impact. So I'm very proud of how the last 6 months have gone. Despite the challenges, I know everything happened for us, not to us. And the thing I look forward to the most is, can we get promoted? We built this club in 365 days. Can we get promoted in our first ever season? Currently, as this podcast is recording, we have 3.5 months left, just over 100 days, and we're sitting outside of promotion. From the outside looking in, you might say it's looking difficult. But from day one, we've believed in the impossible, and we believe we can make it happen. So I think the next 3.5 months are going to be very exciting. We want to push for promotion. And yeah, I'm just very excited. There's been a lot of challenges, but those challenges, the meaning we've attached to it is it's meant to happen. It's happening for us. And it makes the story so much more interesting. How boring would it be if everything went smooth?
Yeah.
You know, how boring would it be if everything went smooth? Like, all the challenges, even the ones we don't want, from this morning to 3 months ago, it's like, it's the story.
The thing is, it's like even from the beginning, the journey and the reward started from going into the unknown.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to be ahead of you. And knowing that you believe in like your ability to like keep moving forward, that it has its rewards when you finally make it to the finish line. And now I would just say this is that at a much, much bigger scale, where it's like we keep going into the unknown over and over and over again. It feels like the finish line isn't there, but it is there. And that's where it's like we're constantly tested by the challenges. Our mindset coach always tells us it's the persistent test. Things can go wrong, chaos can happen, but it's meant to. Are you going to persist, or are you going to fold and give up?
Yeah.
And I think that's been the big thing for us too, being a duo, like working together, doing this business together, just being there to always hold each other up.
Yeah.
There's going to be days where I'll be down and you have to come in and be like, Dan, come on. You got to be up. You got to show up. You got to have a smile on your face, and vice versa. These are very, very core things that a lot of people, even when we document, they don't see that. But with any great journey, with any great achievement, there's a lot of adversity, and just having a team with you that is truly empowering you, it is a day and night. It's a game changer for anyone who's looking to succeed. So yeah, honestly, like, grateful to be on this journey, bro.
Likewise, it's been an incredible journey. It is still an incredible journey.
Yeah, it's going to be
Riding the wave, it's crazy.
No, you guys bring such an incredible duo and energy, and I love and appreciate the yin yang. And of course, it takes a village, it takes a tribe, and I love that you guys have branded this so well, documented it so well. I could sit here and gas you guys up for hours, but to wind down the podcast a little bit, what I want to focus on is something that you actually spoke about a little bit at the beginning, both of you did, is, the impact the sport had on you when you were young, right? And so you guys have like a youth academy component to this, right? Talk to me about what the next generation, what you want to instill, in them when it comes to football, when it comes to achieving their dreams, when it comes to business, content, anything.
Yeah, that's a great question, because it ties right into the why of the project, the impact side of things. So the youth side, we're looking to build out moving into year 2. So year 1, we currently have a men's professional team. Moving into year 2 and onwards, we want to impact the youth. This will either be a youth academy, or we're going to be running youth camps and youth programs. And what we want to do with those is what we touched on earlier in the podcast, which is if we can teach these young athletes to become winners, not only on the football pitch, but also outside of it, that is like job accomplished. And how do we do that? We have to educate them to build a personal brand, to learn about finances. How do you budget? How do you save? How do you invest? Teach them about mindset, the importance of the mind. How do you create positive thoughts? How do you become self-aware?
Beyond the pitch, it's so much.
You're a human. It's the human development, diet, nutrition, how to speak, how to communicate, how to grow your network, your connections. This is what we want to instill into the youth side of Al Qabila FC. Now, that vision is very special to us, and it does require a lot of energy and effort and some time to achieve. We're not there yet. We haven't executed on it, but for me, that is something that is so special, because if we can do that to the kids who are 6, 7, 8, all the way to 10, 11, 12, we teach them young. By the time they're 17, 18, 19, they're equipped with the skills to be successful in their life and to live also a more fulfilling life.
Wow. Beautiful. Dan, you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that's the big impact, you know, like you can, have your own journey, you can have your own success, you can have your own financial growth, but how do you truly change lives? And I think this is where it runs deep for the both of us. When we've had our conversations, why do we do this? Why do we create the content? Why do we move every single day making videos? And the core is for us is we want to genuinely help the world, and we want to change the football space for the better. And if we can change lives, there's a spiritual impact that we're making, and that runs so deep for me. And, aside from helping my family and help put ourselves in a better position, there is in it a goal to impact the world. And I know, inshallah, it's coming soon. It's on the way, but this is the start of it. And I know something big is coming.
You guys have a very strong why. I love it. I can feel it. And everything is going to keep coming through the butterfly effect of all these little tiny, we kind of graze past the fact that like you're a player and an owner, and all of their roles, you have to wear 50 hats. You're on the media side, the business side. I know I have to do a lot of the things that don't get the, as many of the views and the sexiness of it all, right? So I respect both of you equally in what you bring to this partnership. But, kind of just to wrap up the podcast, you guys obviously are a short-term, big next milestone, next mountain to climb is getting promoted.
Yeah.
And that will happen. I believe it will happen. But beyond that, I want you guys to put out a goal for all of this out into the universe right now, so we could document it right now. We'll do many podcasts in the future, but I want you to put it, and then we'll be able to come back to this moment. You could take a second, think about it, discuss it. We can edit whatever, but I do want you guys to put something out there that, whether it be a year from now, 2 years, maybe another 1,000 days.
Yeah.
What can we expect?
I'll start. So in 5 years from now, we're going to be in the Asian Champions League. Al Qabila FC today is in the UAE 3rd Division. In 5 years from now, we're going to be in the Asian Champions League. That's a massive goal. We're going to achieve it. Youth academy side of things, or youth development, the goal is to have one of the most impactful youth developments across the Middle East. I think that's a massive goal for us, and it taps into the impact side of things. And then zooming out, our 10, 20-year vision is to plant Al Qabila FC into different parts of the world. So we're looking to have football clubs in the States, in Europe, in Saudi, and in different markets. And we'll see what markets play out. But currently, the ones we're looking at, just to predict and forecast, USA, we want to do something in Europe, and then there's one more secret location.
Okay, amazing.
Good location. And, for me, obviously, same goals. And I know we share the same vision.
Yeah.
You know what I imagine and what I forecast, what I envision? I envision us in the Al Qabila FC stadium with the camera, with a phone, filming ourselves with all the fans, all the Al Qabila FC fans.
What day will it be?
What day of the dread? It's going to be October 1. It's going to be October 1. And that's what I envision. I see us with our team, with all the fans, with everyone that supported us on the field.
Yeah.
And everyone chanting Al Qabila. Like, I can see that happening, and I know we're going to come back to it.
By the way, we have a chant.
Oh, yeah?
We don't have the in-person fan base yet for that chant to be activated. It's been activated in our minds. Let's now reverse.
You guys would do it. You guys have to join in. Okay.
All right,
Let's get started with
Qabila. Ooh.
See?
Studio goes crazy. I can't think of a better way to end this podcast. Gentlemen, I appreciate your time so much. I know the podcast is called It's Not That Deep, but I feel like we got a little deep today. Shout out all the socials. Where can people find you, connect with you, learn more about the club, learn more about your respective journeys?
Yeah, best place for myself at soheil.var, for the club at Al Kabila FC, and then for Den.
It will be at Prince Ali, and you'll find the journey on social media, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. We're out there, and we're here to make an impact. Deep, thank you so much for having me and Soheil.
We really enjoy this podcast.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you, gentlemen. You guys made it. I mean, again, you guys brought the energy. I love it. You welcomed me into your beautiful city. And I got to bring you guys to Miami next time. I mean, maybe we could do a collab with Messi or something, you know?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Appreciate you guys' time.
Thanks, brother.
Just remember, everyone, it's not that deep.